The bridge was full of cars, many of them Christmas shoppers, when suddenly it began to shake. Charlene Wood was on the bridge at that very moment.
When I got to the traffic light here in Point Pleasant, I got the red light. When it changed, I started going up onto the bridge. And just about that time, the bridge started shaking.
What is the first thing that happened, Mrs. Fowler, that made you know something was wrong?
The bridge was swaying, and we heard a loud noise.
And at that point, I thought someone had hit the bridge underneath one of the boats or barges. And I threw my car into reverse, and as I threw it on reverse, the bridge incline came up this way, and as I backed off, when my car stopped on me, my tires was right on the ledge where it broke off. And as I got down, I could see the bridge was falling, and people were hollering and all.
How far were you from absolute safety? I'd say over a car length. If I'd have been another car length, I'd have made it.
It came down like you'd stack dominoes and give them a push, and you know how they'll fold. That's the way it looked like it was folding toward me.
We ran back that way to see if there's anything we could do, and we could see there's one big tractor and trailer must have been way back, and you could see it floating. And other things are floating down the river, and these people started to holler in there, and we was trying to help them. Wasn't much you could do.
People were screaming. You could hear them hollering for help.
The Silver Bridge collapsed catastrophically, completely disappearing beneath the river's waters. 46 people died, making it the worst bridge accident in American history at the time. For days, rescue workers pulled smashed cars and bodies from the river.
The question of what caused this bridge to collapse is right now still of absolutely no import to us whatever. It did fall. There are bodies still out there in the river. We are right now interested in getting those bodies recovered from the river.
The bridge was gone. There was debris all over the water, and it was so cold. It was the coldest day we had that year. It was the 15th of December of '67.
In the following weeks, the Department of Transportation conducted a detailed investigation of the collapse and blamed it on a steel pin that was improperly manufactured. The Silver Bridge was nearly 40 years old, poorly maintained, and had for many years been carrying far more traffic than it had been designed for. Quite simply, they concluded, it was a miracle that the bridge stood for as long as it did.
People said it was overloaded, but it wasn't. It was just normal traffic, and there was a snow shower, you know, flurries. It was kind of well, the sun had gone down and all, but never dreaming something like this would happen.
It's eerie what took place to cause that bridge to fall. I don't know why. All I can say is a lot of people lost a lot of loved ones.
Rumors quickly began to spread that the collapse was connected to all the strange sightings.
You look at the Silver Bridge crashing, and people talk about the Mothman as being this banshee before the bridge collapses, telling people that they should be aware something's going to happen. Mothman, 13 months, you know, from the 15th to the 15th, over those 13 months. And as we know from the analysis of the bridge collapsing, it was pin number 13 that collapsed the bridge.
Some people theorize that the bridge collapse had been caused by whatever was causing these strange events, and that this has been done as a distraction. Some people said that when everyone's attention was focused on the bridge and the rescue efforts, that a great deal of UFO activity was seen departing the TNT area and had not been seen since.
There are also individuals that said they saw the Mothman under the bridge during the collapse.
And there was a wino and went down underneath the Silver Bridge, and he said he seen the Mothman. Well, he come up there and reported to George Johnson, the sheriff at that time, and he came out in the paper that so-and-so had seen this Mothman on the bridge. Well, in less than a week, the bridge fell. So things like that.
What was sighted on the bridge were two men in low Oxfords and black jackets climbing around the bridge. Now that, I suspect they must have been FBI agents, and I suspect that they knew what I knew, that something was going to happen, but they knew it was the bridge. I didn't know it was the bridge.
Others told of being visited before the collapse by the creature and finding themselves unexpectedly waylaid when they tried to get on the bridge that afternoon.
I keep wondering, why me? Why was I saved and all, but I believe there was just another purpose for me at this time.
Now that it's all over and you look back, what's your thought? Lucky. That's all I gotta say, it's lucky.
As the town mourned its dead, the frenzy over the creature abated. Attention turned to grieving and recovery, not prophecy.
It was to the point that nobody wanted to talk about it. They wanted to forget it and get on with their lives and pretend it didn't happen.
One of the most peculiar things about that event was that after it occurred, all of this anomalous activity seemed to disappear, seemed to stop.
But it didn't stop. The Silver Bridge collapse was only one of a series of tragedies. The creature would appear again, and disaster would strike wherever it was seen.
You know, the buildup of energy before something happens, the way your hair stands up before lightning strikes.
Right, before something happens, do you mean that they cause disasters?
Why would they need to?
All right, then, are they trying to warn me?
Their motivations aren't human.
After the collapse of the Silver Bridge, the Mothman vanished from Point Pleasant. No more sightings were reported. No UFOs. No strange men dressed in black. Their sudden disappearance lent credence to the notion that it had all been somehow connected to the bridge disaster.
And it was almost continuous that these things were being seen, and then it just stopped.
You know, we tried to figure out why and all this, but there was nothing explained that we could explain.
First the flying saucers, then the Mothman, and here the bridge fell. I mean, it was scary.
There were 100 sightings in Chernobyl the year the nuclear plant went down. Galveston, 1969, just before the hurricane. They saw it.
Some tried to come up with scientific explanations for the Mothman. Skeptics claimed that it was a mass hallucination that had been cleared up by the shock of the bridge tragedy. Others blamed it on a curse placed on the town by a Shawnee chieftain over 200 years before. And a local ornithologist claimed that it had really been just a big bird all along, a sandhill crane. This species superficially matches descriptions of the creature, but eyewitnesses disagree.
Wrong color, too skinny. I've seen pictures of sandhill cranes on TV, and no. In my opinion, Professor Smith from West Virginia University was 100% wrong.
Various college professors tried to say that it was a stork or something dumb like that, and some people said it was a giant owl. Well, I've seen large owls, but I've never seen an owl that as big as a man.
It was also later revealed that the TNT area, where many of the sightings took place, had been horribly polluted. Many of the ingredients that had gone into making the munitions had been dumped and left to seep into the local ponds. In the 1970s, scientists declared the area an environmental disaster. It is still one of the top EPA Superfund cleanup sites. So some wondered if perhaps the creature was some sort of mutant bird, an abomination caused by the horrible effects of toxic waste. But that didn't explain the strange lights in the sky, the abject terror felt by eyewitnesses weeks and even years after their encounter, even today.
You know what you saw. You know, you saw it. But what was it? Where did it come from? These are questions you ask yourself all the time. Is there something out there that, you know, stalking us? I mean, you can't deny what you saw. It's just very hard to explain, you know. Very hard to explain.
I mean, that's something strange. They're here one minute, gone the next. Why did they come here in the first place?
Too many people saw it. whatever it was, for it not to be something.
And it has been seen again. Sightings have been reported around the world since then, always just before a major disaster. Mexico City, 1985. Reports of huge, strange birds appear in the weeks before a destructive earthquake rocks the city. Chernobyl, 1986. Locals describe frightening encounters with a bird-like man over the course of several months. Encounters that end with a devastating accident at the nuclear power plant.
It was going on all over the world. It still is. And I've gotten tons and tons of mail from people claiming similar experiences or thanking me because suddenly they realized what they had really experienced, what they'd really gone through. A lot of people all over the world have seen these things and been bewildered by them.
Dozens of sightings have been reported in just the last few years. And in September of 2001, an eyewitness came forward claiming to have seen an enormous bird-like creature in western Pennsylvania.
It was just like one of those 8mm black and white horror films.
Perhaps once we are able to overcome our fear and look beyond the mere manifestations, humanity will finally glimpse the real truth. For now, however, there is no rational explanation for what has happened and seems to still be happening.
I'm sure it's happening somewhere in the world right now. It has always happened.
I really understand that people are skeptical of Mothman. I would be, you know, if I hadn't been doing this for 40-some years. But for these folks, they interacted with an extraordinary situation that they couldn't explain. And we know from looking at those folks, talking to them, looking at their histories, looking at the whole framework that Mothman fits in, that something very real happened there. We don't know what it is, perhaps, but we know it was real.
The only thing I'd have to say is keep an open mind, because someday it could happen to you. And then if you try to tell somebody, what are you going to do if they laugh at you? Or if they call you a kook, that you're imagining, or you're trying to cause chaos, but it actually did happen. What if? And if's a big question.
Point Pleasant and around the world, it's been seen before, and it will be seen again. What will you do if you see it? Will your friends and family believe you? Will you believe yourself?
The unknown is out there, and the universe does not exist as we think it exists. And we don't exist as we think we exist.